Good morning. I was just having a dream about there was a lot of things that came out about insurance fraud, right? Jacob Clark was involved in, and like all my uncles and aunts or whatever. My aunt, uncle, specifically the Clarks. And that I was with Nanny. I was with my grandmother, and I remember being I guess it was at her house, and Uncle Michael came over there, and he was like, I could hear him in the other room because Jacob Clark had already left, and then he was being real ugly, and then Michael came over there, well, which is my other uncle, and I could hear my grandmother saying that I was in the room, and he was like real weird about it, right? As I was in the other room, and it got real quiet, and it was like, okay, well then, my kids were with me, Dylan and Devin were with me. They were younger, they were like, probably like 13, 12, and maybe, 12, 13, maybe no, Devin was younger. Devin was like maybe 10. And Dylan was, and that's the year I got out of prison. Devin turned 10 right before I got out. I got out and he turned 10 like 10 days later. But I remember something happened when Jacob Clark left, and there was gunshots fired towards us, wherever we were. And I guess it was like Nanny's house. I don't know. But I had these pillows, like down pillows surrounding us wherever we in the room. And like whatever happened, like, nothing could hit us because there was these pillows blocking us. But my kids were, I was stressed out, but they weren't scared really. They were just, had anxiety though, for sure, right? And I said, this is why I always have these kinds of things, lots of blankets and pillows around us. And then I got a message or something, and I sent it to Jacob Clark. It was talking about this insurance fraud, and all the people that in the community all believe something really crazy about me because my family was lying to them. This is all relative, right? And then I took my boys with me to this house where I was essentially trying to get away. Some people that I knew, they didn't know I had kids. And my kids were tired. They were tired. And they were so sweet, right? This is when I had just my boys with me. Anyway, we went in this house, and Dylan, you were super sleepy, man. You were just like, you had a little hat on. You didn't, we weren't working out or anything at the time because you always like fitness. Devin was, Devin was, real bright eyed and just so sweet. Anyway, went in this house and everyone was looking at me like, what are these kids? And I just was, walking in with y'all. And we're just like mom and kids. And they were freaking out. They're like, she was kids? What the heck? Because everybody had lied and made up this whatever about me, right? And y'all were so tired. But I, uh, I sent Jacob Clark. What I sent him was something like the message about what was going on, the insurance fraud. And these guys that were in this house are like a bunch of thugs, really on the cool, because that's always kind of people I really was around. I used to be. And they were seeing me with my children and were like, dude, like, what the hell, man? Like, it made them feel really bad, have a conscience, I guess, that they were hurting me while I've been was a mom. But anyway, I had those pillows for y'all, like, these like down pillows. This is not a down pillow. But anyways, to protect us, I guess that was subconsciously another reason. I don't know. I've always loved a lot of blankets and pillows and really fluffy, just a lot of comfort. You know, that's the way I found comfort is in blankets and pillows. But anyways, my kids were so sweet in my dream. They're just like, okay, mom. Like, and then I told them, like, they've been stealing my voice, you know, and like, I told them about Nico, and I told them about, I mean, some really mainstream artists, you know. Like, how do they do that? I didn't know. They're like, it's so weird, you know, it's so weird. I'm sure they've taken y'all's too. Because I know that they, Dr. Garcia, uh, Jesus Garcia, San Antonio, Texas, asked me who was the next of kin in my family. Dylan, right? And he wanted to know his number or social security number or something. And I was like, why would I tell you that information? Why are you asking about my kid? You know, and so he did ask for something really personal. And I freaked out and tripped out on him. They also had, I'm going to make sure I get this clear because anyway, when I went to the doctor there, they gave me a shot of something. He said it was, vitamin B12 that for my severity of my back pain and all the trauma I've had, that's all he was going to give me, right? After he had told me he was going to give me Xanax, this was like last year, the end of March. Anyways, Jesus Garcia, when I went in there, I knew there was a whole plot set up, right? Because Jacob was insistent about driving me there, and he did. And then he told me in San Antonio that he knew that the building used to be a daycare. Like, how do you know that? Why would you know that? You know, this is a doctor's office. It was very eerie. And when I got there, there was law and there was cop cars like in the area, like creeping, right? And I was already just got out of jail earlier in March and in October, false arrest. So I was paranoid. Well, and the lady that picked me up did pray for me, but she was an Uber driver and they were all in on it too. But meanwhile, she dropped me off. We prayed before I went in there. And so I go inside and this black dude comes in and he's just like, you know, I get a vibe. And I called Laura, my stepmom, and John. I said, something's weird. This dude's in here. And oh, because I call her and I tell her something's off. And the dude is on some headphones. And of course, I've already noticed Jacob and Destiny and everything doing the Bluetooth thing. If there's like microscopic, there's small speakers. Anyway, the black guy is in this doctor's office with me and goes outside and next thing you know, this lady comes in and I said, hey, is there cops outside in the parking lot? She's like, yeah. I said, really? So I knew that guy went outside to go talk to the cops. He's an undercover. Next thing you know, he comes back in. So I'm on to them. And he goes behind to the doctor before me. So I know he's going to go say something to the doctor that I got something going on for sure. Why are the laws swarming around here, creeping, whatever? They've already messed with me heavily, severely. They had tortured me in San Antonio, Bexar County Jail, like physically. Had me in there with CIA agents. They all had speakers in their ears. I didn't eat or drink anything for 4 days. At all, nothing. Because they all had on the matching Nike Air Force One shoes. I mean, I could go on and on. I'm not going to get all the way into this message like that right now. But what I'm going to say is, he went back there anyway, so when he gets done, that's the day the doctor tells me about my son's information and gives me a shot of something and nothing else to help me. I had called Laura Clark and John, and I told Laura, something happened, you need to make sure. Oh, I'm at work. I said, check on me every hour, please. I was so scared. And then so again, they gave me an injection. Like, anyway, I knew it was all bull, whatever, but that was my dream. It was pillows and trying to protect my kids all the time. Anyway, I'm about to go get something to eat. Okay, I love you.